You're at a dinner table, surrounded by people you like, and somehow you still feel like you're watching from behind glass. Everyone's laughing, you're smiling. But part of your brain is already somewhere else, replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, noticing the way the light in the room shifts, wondering why the joke landed differently the second time someone told it. You're not unhappy. You're just elsewhere. And the strange part? You've always been somewhere else. This isn't about being antisocial. It isn't about arrogance. It isn't even about intelligence in the way most people think about it. It's about a mind that was built or trained itself or simply became a certain way. A mind that never fully powers down. That finds silence louder than noise. That turns a simple question into a hallway with 17 doors. If any of that sounds familiar, this isn't a coincidence. There is a version of high intelligence that nobody really talks about. Not the version in movies, where someone solves equations on a window and everything clicks into place. The real version is quieter, more complicated, and often lonelier. You are not broken. You are not difficult. You are not too much. Your brain processes the world at a different frequency, and that comes with a cost nobody warned you about. The first thing people notice is the solitude. Not isolation, not loneliness. Solitude chosen, preferred, sometimes desperately needed. You don't avoid people because you dislike them. You avoid noise. There's a difference. Most social environments ask your brain to do something it finds genuinely exhausting. Stay on the surface. Conversations that go nowhere. Words that mean less than the silence between them. Your nervous system, already running hot from processing everything it encounters, gets overstimulated faster than most. Solitude isn't withdrawal, it's regulation. It's the only room quiet enough to think in. The reframe here matters. This behavior wasn't born from coldness, it was born from necessity. Then there's the overthinking. And before you sigh, yes, you already know you do it. What you might not know is why. A highly active prefrontal cortex doesn't just solve problems, it anticipates them. It runs simulations. It maps consequences 3 steps before anyone else is even looking at the board. What looks like anxiety from the outside is often pattern recognition running ahead of real-time events. Your brain doesn't stop at the surface of something, it keeps going. Not because it's worried, though, sometimes it is, but because it genuinely cannot accept a shallow answer when a deeper one exists. Think about the last time someone said, "Just don't think about it." You probably smiled politely, because that sentence makes about as much sense to you as, "Just stop breathing for a while." But here's the part nobody tells you. All of that questioning, the relentless analysis, the inability to accept things at face value, it comes from the same place as your greatest strength, the refusal to stop asking. Nothing is taken for granted. Not systems, not social rules, not even yourself. You question the things most people absorb without examination. Normal has always felt like a word that needs unpacking. This isn't arrogance. It's epistemological humility, wearing an unusual coat. The people who say, "I don't know" most easily are often the ones who understand something quietly terrifying. Knowledge has no floor. The more you learn, the more the horizon expands. Certainty starts to feel like a luxury you can't afford, and eventually, one you no longer want. There's a pattern in how this plays out over a lifetime. In childhood, it looks like the kid who asks too many questions, who gets bored not from laziness, but from understimulation, who feels out of step with everyone around them without understanding why. In adolescence, it becomes the feeling of being misunderstood not because you're strange, but because you think differently, and that difference is invisible. Nobody can see the inside of another person's mind. In adulthood, it shifts again. The same trait that made you feel isolated at 15 becomes the thing people come to you for at 35. The pattern recognition, the ability to hold complexity without collapsing it, the dark humor that isn't really dark, it's just honest. And honesty sometimes sounds sharp when the world has been softening everything. The behavior doesn't disappear. It evolves. It finds new containers. There's something else worth naming the relationship with happiness. Not the absence of it, but a specific kind of restlessness that simple pleasures can't quite reach. Surface-level satisfaction doesn't hold. Something in you keeps looking for weight, for meaning, for a reason behind the thing rather than just the thing itself. A sunset isn't just a sunset. A conversation isn't just small talk. It's either real or it isn't. And if it isn't, it feels hollow in a way that's hard to explain to someone who doesn't experience it. This is what psychologists sometimes call a high need for cognitive closure, not to end thinking, but to find thinking that matters. Meaning isn't a luxury for a mind like yours. It's oxygen. At night, the mind gets louder. Silence removes the static that keeps everything manageable during the day, and in that quiet, the thoughts that were already running fast find no interference. The two realizations, the sudden connections between unrelated things, the questions that feel urgent even though nothing is on fire. This isn't insomnia from stress, though sometimes it becomes that. This is a mind that uses stillness as fuel. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It found the only time the world gets out of the way. And underneath all of it, the observation, the self-criticism, the inability to stop is a nervous system doing something ancient and intelligent, trying to stay safe in a world that moves faster than it feels equipped for. The mind that never turns off is the mind that never fully trusted it was okay to rest. Whether that came from early experiences, from always needing to be the one who figured things out, from being misread for so long that you learn to read everything, it doesn't matter how it started. What matters is that it makes sense. Your mind became its own anchor, its own familiar room to return to, even when that room is loud. Thinking, for you, isn't a problem to solve. It's the place you live. So if you've spent years wondering why your brain won't quiet down, why happiness feels complicated, why solitude feels like relief instead of failure, this is why. You are not too intense. You are not too sensitive. You are not too much. You are someone whose mind was built for depth, and depth, by nature, has no bottom. That's not a flaw. That's just who you are.